So 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, guys. So here's that tutorial I was promising. I got into an offline here. I started a level 1 coach, just so I sort of feel like worst case scenario with some of these things. So yeah, first thing I want to get into is actually week 0, like the preseason, actually before week 0, where we're trying to just get our prospects and stuff. Um, so I mean, a lot of this is just gonna come down to what you need. Who's all interested in you, what kind of program you have. Penn State's a 4.5-star program, so we're gonna have almost the maximum amount of hours per week. And obviously, if you have a 3-star, 3.5-star, 4-star, like some of us do in the online dynasty, it's gonna sort of limit the amount of hours. You just have to be cognizant of it. Just know you might have to. You don't have as much of an opening in terms of hours that you can allot to each player. So that might mean when we get into all this, you literally have to limit your board in terms of how many players you're allocating points to. But we'll get to that. So for this, I'm just gonna get everyone that's interested in me. I'm not even actually really a scout in this video, but I so there's two ways you can tackle preseason. Uh, Option one is, and this is the one I use, is absolutely send out 35 scholarship offers this first week. Um, Obviously you want to scout as much as you can because so you have 1,125 to work with. But if your goal is to end up offering 20 or 35 scholarships, you're going to need 175 points to make that happen. So, just be mindful of your points with your scouting. I think you can set yourself up in week 0 and on if you just offer those 35 scholarships. Now, option two is what sometimes a lot of people do is, they'll just recruit as much as they want to, sort of foregoing the idea of sending a scholarship out and with the hopes of, see this guy right here, probably interested first. There's a small chance if you don't have the CEO um, coaching tree unlocked, which most of us shouldn't, if not, none of us should, where, if you basically send a scholarship offer on someone that you're first on their board, you can insta commit. It still does happen without this. It's a very rare. We've had stuff like I think Iowa got 2 5-stars early on this year. So it does happen. So that's the idea of not sending scholarships right away. Um, where you sort of can just put points towards guys, and then once you see your first, and then you send that scholarship offer. I just don't like that, especially in an online dynasty where you can sort of set yourself behind the 8 ball if you're not immediately getting in on these guys. So, and that's why I like to offer everyone a scholarship. Um, just that way, I can, once it's week 0, I can actually truly look at my board and see who I actually have a legitimate shot on, and all those things considered. It's just gonna be some time here to actually send all these scholarship offers out, and in regular circumstances you would have already scouted or looked at your needs of position. Like you look at wide receiver, like, hey, I probably need 2 of those guys. So maybe set your board to get like 4 or 5 on that board, and then send those 5 scholarship offers out, and then hope for the best. Like I would never, if I need like receivers, I would never actually try to sign 10. But it's a matter of you're gonna know what positions you actually need, and you're gonna go based off that. So all right, we're almost through here, and I can actually head on to week 0. But preseason's all about that. Is either decide which strategy you want. Do you want to send your 35 scholarship offers out after maximizing your scouting opportunities, or going all in on scouting and mixing and matching how many scholarship offers you want, and then trying to get those insta commits from week 0 on. So one other thing I want to touch on is I highly suggest always looking at your schedule, what you're looking in, but what you're gonna look into. I mean, we don't really have this available to us due to the commissioners being able to set that for us. But as soon as you get into week 0, this is what I'm looking at. I'm going to be looking at my opportunities where I can schedule visits. So in this scenario, I know Penn State can actually offer from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that is awesome. Because really, a lot of these key recruits, they're going to get into their top fives by like week 3, week 4, week 5, especially all the guys that we know are good and they're going to be really competing over. Like a lot of the major commits, a lot of your damage will be done this week. Week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. You know, it's going to be very rare that actually when you start week 0, there's going to be someone in their top 5 schools already. You will get some in week 1, but really it's week 2 and on where you're really going to be tackling the top 5 commits. So we're going to get into that. All right, so first bye week, love that. Here I can just really see what's going on. So as a 4.5-star program, I have 900 hours available to me. I'm pretty sure 5-star has, 1,000, and you basically take off 100 for each half star. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, but it's something along those lines. So you see how I have 35 prospects here. I sent all my offers, but honestly, I got some verbal commits, as I said. So actually, what I'd like to do is I like sort of put all my guys I have committed to me down here, just in terms of my personal view. So that's awesome. Looks like it's 4 or 5 guys that I already don't have to spend recruiting points on. Okay, so that's great. So really, there's 31 guys that I'm competing over, but in my personal opinion, I'm not going to try to give all 31 guys points. I think when you start week 0, this is one of the most crucial things that separate a good recruiter from a not so good recruiter. Is I'm actually going to look at 15 to 20 guys that I want to put points on, and then just hope I don't really have to touch the other ones. If I get them, great. If not, it is what it is. Well, how do you determine which ones are not? So I'm going to go top of the list here. I don't care if it's a 5-star or a 4-star gem or whatever. I personally, if I see that I'm the only one with a scholarship offer in on them, I'm not gonna put points to them because why would I? Because like a lot of these other ones, like this defensive tackle, it looks like I'm gonna be competitive with him with all these other teams. So if I really like this guy, I'm gonna put the points towards him, 50 instead of 25 if I was trying to spread that out from 31 prospects. So like this guy right here, he's gonna go to the bottom of my list. I don't even have to. I'm not gonna touch him because right now, for what I see here, is I'm gonna still gradually get points for having a scholarship offer on him. Like I'm gonna have more interest in week 1 than I do now, just because I have that scholarship offer on him, and I have no competition for him. So he's just going to the bottom of my board. Now, obviously, after every week, I'm going to reevaluate that situation because even if someone, pops in secretly and gets in on his board, that's fine. I'm still number 1. Then I can just take that time now to assess like how much do I really like this guy. Am I going to go from 0 to quick 50, quick 25? But first thing first, I'm not going to really try to put any points in these guys I don't have to compete over. And this is a great way to just knock these points, these players down from. I'm going to try to spread it out between all 31. Now it's all I can spread out between just 28 guys. Yes, 30, 29, 28, 27 guys, maybe even more. Okay, so right there, I went from having 31, 27, where I know I'm going to put points towards. So, I'm going to just assume I know this guy's a gem, all that good stuff. Like most of these guys would be recruited, but just for time purposes, I'm not going to do that. So, I'm just going to put 50 towards the guys I actually really, really like. Let me look at good thing to do from here right now is, it looks like I already have a quarterback commit. I know this team has Drew Aller on it. If this was my Nebraska one, I'd be like, all right, so, I have Raiola right now. I really only need one quarterback for the future. So, just get one 5-star, 4-star guy I really, really like. Maybe this guy is just a gem and everything's great. So I'm just gonna go with him. You know, running backs. You know, like I say, I really want one guy, and then boom. Maybe I decide I really don't need a tight end. So let me just reevaluate that in a second. First thing that I'm gonna go through is each position and just seeing who am I gonna essentially say, oh, I'm going all in on immediately. That one I don't have to touch at all. Like, oh, I really like having this kind of type of offensive lineman. Need some. And again, this is all determined on how many stars you have available to you. Like Penn State 4.5, 900. That's a really good starting point. But if you're someone that's like a 3.5 star, you might only have like 700 available to you, and that's you're not gonna be able to send as many 50s out. It just is what it is. Another thing you're going to be looking for here is what the starting interest is, right? Um, you know, when in the online dynasty, when I see that it's me versus a lot of computers, you know, even though I would really like the player, if I see it's just I just have computer Michigan and other computers against this, like maybe this is where I'm like, all right, I really like this player, but I'm gonna go 25. Not as much of a necessity because I feel like I can make up for the computers generally terrible at recruiting, by the way. So that's fine. Where like if this guy, I really liked him, I was like, oh, I'm competing against 3 other users for him. I really want to, set myself apart. We're going 50 there. And at this point, I probably sent too many 50s out. Is what it is. Okay, so from here, I really like to just simply organize my recruiting board based off my interest in them. Makes it a little bit easier to sort of see everything. So using the right trigger and obviously going up or down, that's how I'm moving these guys. So, so I really wanted that back. And I believe it started at 27 or 28, where that's my cutoff. All right. So, week 0 is very crucial. And this is where I'm going to sort of get into your pipelines here. Because it's sort of going to determine how much I actually allocate here. Because I may start with all these 50s, but now I'm going to just sort of dwindle that list down. So 25 here. I'm okay with. There's a lot of competition, but you see in that little tier next to each school, I have a level 4 in the state of New Jersey. Ohio State matches that, but that's okay. Like, so if they still put 25, by default, I still should keep up with them. Where someone like Michigan, if they also put 25 points in, they don't have as much of a pipeline boost as Ohio State and Penn State because their pipeline ranking for this state is lower. So, if every single school put in the same amount of points, Ohio State and Penn State would actually pick up every single week if it's the same kind of points going towards it. And like right here, you have to decide like, oh, Ohio State has a level 5, so it's not guaranteed that if I put 50 and I can actually even out if Ohio State and Penn State put the same amount of points in here, Penn State's getting dog walked on this prospect. So this is where you might be like, all right, I really like this guy. I'm going to really go for him. I know to even have a chance, you got to get 50. But like I said, I think I already put too many of those in for this video. Then here's one where there's only 2 people. Again, it goes down to what your competition looking like. I really am okay with just putting 25 in right now. And just seeing what kind of interest level or Oklahoma is going to have on that fact. Like you might come into this and they only put 10 points in, and that's going to change the way I even tackle this prospect. There's a lot of competition here, but let's just, again, for another example's sake, let's just say there's going to be a lot of computers against this one. I'd be like, all right, I'm just going to give you 25 here. And again, my goal is to only spend points towards like 20 to 25 prospects, if that. I'm not trying to give all 28 of these guys points. You know, you're just gonna have to come to a realization like, hey, who's extra? Like who do I not need to send an offer out on? What's a luxury? Like if you have four running backs on your board, do you really need to put points towards four running backs week 0? I mean, the answer is probably no. And like right here, you know, I see I already actually have a commit. My goal was actually probably only one, but you know, so I'm actually just take points off him, move him down my board, and then that's that. You know, it might be where Oklahoma didn't spend points towards him either anyway, so it's fine. It's all about the prospects you really, really want. You're sort of loading it on them, and you know, you can even go an extra step. You can go all 60 points here. But I say if you're someone you really, really want week 0, you should be spending at least 50 points on them because that's what they're gonna be doing. And then looking at I'm always evaluating the pipelines here. So it looks like if I really want to compete with this guy, um, Washington has a level 5 pipeline here. Oregon level 4 to my 1. Penn State's gonna absolutely get dog walked if Oregon has any kind of interest in this guy. Same with Washington. But doesn't mean I can't just give up on him, right? Like maybe I just put 25 points out as a flyer. See, all right, how serious are they in this player? Maybe they haven't discovered him. You know, like when I was doing my prospect list, I was just going down the first 35 guys for the sake of the video. But you know, if you have a need and you see like you put let's say there's a 400th ranked in the country wide receiver that's probably ranked 50th or 40th somewhere along. That doesn't mean that the teams that have the top pipelines for him have discovered this guy. You know, and that's where you're going to be looking at their scholarship offers. You know, especially when it comes to users. That will all matter. So, you know, stick with my rule here of just basically only wanting 20 to 25 players. And this is where I probably actually just should. I see I have no offers out for safeties. That's not good. So let me just put some in the top. Oh, hold on. Just making sure they weren't the ones I didn't have competition with. Yeah, like that guy, don't need to put points towards him. Don't need to put points towards him. And it looks like, you know, in this scenario, I'm looking at all, can't guarantee this guy, but, you know, you're, if someone is late discovering him that's actually in the top 8 or all that good stuff, it is what it is. And, you know, you can sort of not bank on him, but say you're putting yourself in a really good position. So I'm trying to get some other positions. I can sort of just let this guy go without points. You're just going to have to make a decision and prioritize who you want. You're not, if you put points in towards every single player, you are not going to get half the guys you want. It's just how it goes, especially in an online dynasty. So it looks like I've loaded up on defensive ends, which I really would probably anyway if I was doing this for real. You know, I don't have to really look into that. So like from here, you know, I've sort of made a decision that I really just don't need anyone else. Now it comes down to, all right, what do I like? So as you can see with the way I'm organizing this, I can see I have points out on 19 people. 20. Okay. I guess we'll just do this. I think 21, 22 is usually my sweet spot. Not quite the minimum, but is what it is. And now here's where I'm like, okay, I can actually spend more points towards some of these other guys. So, you know, it looks like to be competitive here, you know, I am going to need that 50. I know we originally said we're just going to sort of feel it out, but if you feel really strong about the player, you have the points available. Once you've done those first couple steps, I mean, that's great. Now let's just say, like for argument's sake, you know, you put offers in for some guys, or you on your original board in the preseason you were like, all right, I really want this guy, but I'm not his initial interest. Well, guess what? You advance the week and you're already locked out. That stuff happens. So let's just, for argument's sake, say that was what happened here. One thing is that you can do is obviously you look at your recruiting people that you're already interested in. One thing that a lot of the good recruiters do, and I'm going to say this is what I do. I know Oregon does it. I know Kansas does it. We are going to actually look at 4-star prospects. I mean, we can do it with 5 stars, but as you see, like you come over here to offers, this guy has 16 offers. This guy has 16, 15, blah, 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 blah. But okay, well, see, it's actually a good thing I did this. You see how this guy has 0 offers. Well, guess what I'm going to do now? I'm going to put him on my board. It's up to you if you actually want to scout, but in my opinion, in an online dynasty, and you don't have a lot of points to scout anyway, even if it's a 5-star bust, that's going to be a pretty damn good player. And the bust and gem system is a little weird. It's more so affiliated with the dev trait. A lot of the times, with if someone's considered a gem, that means they have at least a impact dev development trait. Um, and but it's also different for like so. If you have a 3-star, just normal, chances are that guy's not going to be a gem, or that guy's not going to have impact or more. So that the star level matters, but like all because someone's a bust 5-star doesn't mean they don't have impact, is what I'm getting at. So even that's still a good player, someone that can still develop. They just might have a little bit more skill caps, which is another thing to look out for. But I generally just when my recruiting board with the online dynasty is in the preseason, I'm trying to scout as much good talent as I can. I probably actually don't even scout the 5-stars. Actually, of the most of the 5-stars I've gotten, I don't think I've actually scouted them once. I just assume it's a good player. If it's a bust, I'll just live with it and just it is what it is. But let me actually go to the 4-stars now. And I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna click X, and I'm gonna sort by who doesn't have offers. Look at all these guys that I can potentially put myself in on. And by the way, this will not be the way it looks. There will not be this many players in Online Dynasty, but this is how a lot of these guys just load up on good players to recruit because it's all about how much competition you have to the points you're spending, right? So I'm gonna go back to my recruiting class here. The fact that none of these, I have no competition for these guys, gives me the opportunity to put 50 points on 10 players, which is ridiculous, So that's a major, major, major recruiting trip early on. Is if not everyone has discovered the good players, so why wouldn't you just add them to your board? Especially if it's a position of need, like that's gonna just really come down to what you yourself have. You're gonna know that more than anyone. So here I'm gonna go. I'm now in on this player, and since I don't have starting interest on this guy, actually maybe I should just make that 50. Especially if I really like the player and scouted him, know he's good. Yeah, I'm doing all this blind just for time's sake. But, now I see, like, oh, okay, I'm not competing. And the reason why I would maybe not this guy, but I would put 50 points on this guy immediately, even though I say he has no competition. Well, you want to jump yourself into that top 8, And especially now with this video being out, unfortunately, you're just going to have more competition. Like, people are going to see that. But in the online dynasty, when I go to this page, it's live. It doesn't just update every week. Like, at 8 o'clock, you put an offer in on someone with a 0, and you come back 3 hours later, you might see there's 3 Y offers. It's good. It's up to par, up to speed. Yep. So, that's just a major thing you can do to set yourself apart is, you know, put points in, right? Put points in on the guys you really, really want immediately, and then just have an honest assessment of your team and where you stand on some of these recruiting battles to where you might have points and then now available to you to go after guys that might be a quick, easy commit for you in weeks 3, 4, 5. and really boost that recruiting class. So, that's something I use every week. And like I said, I know there's definitely some other users that do the same exact thing because I end up having to, be in competition with them. So, yep, let me just get all these guys, spend all these points. And then I will be ready to just advance it. So, week 0 and preseason, that's where everything starts. You just need to nail these weeks. And after that comes down, we just have to assess where we are. And the other thing is just to keep in mind where we stand in terms of where player is in the top 8 and top 5. Like right now, I'm just sending the house on people. But as soon as we get into that top 5, I'm going to absolutely abandon and send the house. And you'll see why. Okay. So first thing I'm going to be looking for in this screen is just seeing if there's anyone that went to top 5. All right, yeah, it's pretty rare week 1, but it does happen. But, essentially what this to me means is if I still like where I'm at with a lot of these guys, I still want to put 50 points into them, and I'm going to still just keep sending the house. So, all right, let's go with this. So I call week 1, which is basically the first week of games, I call this your assessment period. And like right here, remember my rule. I have no competition on this guy. So not only I don't need to put 50 points in on him. I think that's just overkill. That's points that can go to someone else now. So if you really like him, you can still put 10 points on him, 20, or I guess it'd be 15. But I probably wouldn't send the house on him. Maybe contact friends and family, but that's where you can, again, maybe near the end of the advancement period, you can sort of just like still see how many offers does he have. If it's still 1, well, guess what? And I'm not gonna be the only one in on him. I thought that's who it was. Maybe it was some other prospect. Oh well, you get where I'm going with this. Oh, it was a receiver. That's right. So if I'm just curious if near the end of the week anyone actually did try to sneak their way into that top 8, but I see I'm still the only one. All right, perfect. And guess what? You're going to the bottom of the page there, buddy. I'm not spending points on you right now when it's crucial to keep going here. So let's just assess Chubb here. So as you see, I put 50 points in on him, which is the max I can, unless you have recruiting upgrades, which at this point in the dynasty, mostly everyone will of some sort. I jumped Alabama, but guess what? As soon as they try to match that level 50, I might be cooked. But that's where, if you continuously go after the players that you really, really want, that might not matter as much later on. Like, you can make that up. But, before we even get to the visits and, sending pitches out, it's all about trying to if you are at a lower tier, it's all about trying to separate yourself from those pipeline advantages that other teams might have on prospects. So, I'm good with keeping him at 50. Again here, like Oregon and Washington are in on him, as you can see it with that highlighted bar. And they have higher pipelines than me. I'm probably gonna keep that 50 in on them, with maybe coming back later and saying, oh, maybe I'm gonna put that extra 10 for the 60 max. Right here, again, this might be one where I'm actually like, okay, it looks like I'm getting a bigger advantage than these guys. And the other team I'm really, really worried about is Ohio State. They match my tier 4 pipeline, but it doesn't even look like maybe they only have a scholarship offer in on them. So maybe here, I'm going to turn that 55 into 25. And then eventually I'll move him down there because I'm not putting 60 anymore. Right here, again, looks like at worst, Ohio State's also putting at least 25 in on them, but they have a 2-tier higher pipeline to me. So guess what? I mean, I'm just going to have to continue putting 50 in if I want any shot at this prospect. Right here, again, at a pipeline disadvantage, but guess what? I'm at 60 out of 60. If I put that back to, 35 or 25, that might be where Michigan then, is actually gaining on me. So I think if I really want this guy, guess what? I'm going to have to keep those points on him. This one, look at this. I put my 50, I put my send the house, and Notre Dame is not only has a better pipeline than me, but they're actually gaining on me. So if I really want this player, I'm going to stay in the race, but maybe I do put that extra 10 with the little caveat of, I might have to look into if this is a prospect I can actually get. So, I'm going to put him on the top of my board. Actually, I'll put him up here too because he has more points. But if I put him on the top of my board, that lets me know, hey, what is this guy really going to be interested in me if Notre Dame continues to be interested in him as well. Then right here, I'm going to keep that. It's good. You guys are essentially getting the gist. If I'm ahead of someone and they don't put as many points in, then I'm just going to keep going. It looks like I have to keep putting all those points in so Notre Dame doesn't jump me. Clemens, we already went through him. So here's an interesting one. This might be, again, the scenario where, the teams that have higher pipeline advantages just haven't discovered this guy. And, I'm going to basically bank on eventually they will, or maybe they won't, but it's too early to determine that I've got this guy, I'm the favorite. So I might actually just keep those 50 in while maybe just reevaluating once I went through my points. This guy, I'm just going to roll with that. I'm good with that advantage. There's not enough. Like if Syracuse was at the point where Virginia is of only gaining a little on the week, then maybe I decide go to 25 points to 50, but I'm going to keep that where it is. This guy, yeah, he doesn't need points anymore. There's no competition. So he's just going down here. All right. So let's get to these guys here. So I put 25 in them on week 0. That means I have an opportunity to put more in. And look at that, I have 130 hours available to work. So I can say, hey, I can invest more in this guy. Be a little more competitive in this scenario, to where I match the Alabama. If I want this Wagner, well, guess what? Ohio State and Notre Dame both gained on me. We basically have the same pipelines, so it's just a matter of points here. Put more points in them, you have a better shot at them. Where again, I mean, the only reason I keep stressing this is how important it is. If I did have points on any of these guys here, say there's 10, 20 there, or 20, say 25, 25, 25, 25. There's 100 points that I am basically spending worthlessly that I could put up towards these guys where, a 25 to 50 actually does make me more competitive. But, if I have points on those other guys before, I don't have that opportunity. So, looks like to be competitive with Notre Dame on this one, I'm going to have to go to 50. But I just might have to bail out of this one. I'm okay staying level with UCF on this one, so I think I just might keep that there. Here we go. So I'm looking at this, and it looks like I'm gaining on all my competitors. So maybe this is a scenario where I'm like, all right, instead of 25 points, let me just put them to 10, and I'll reevaluate after a week. Now, the whole caveat with this, it's a risk, is the same way where I went from 25 to 50 on this. Some other user might be like, so if I was in Notre Dame's position on this one, I might be like, okay, I feel pretty good where I stand, so maybe this is where I put 25 points instead of 50. And then, well, guess what? Now Penn State has more points in on you than you advance to week 2, you're actually behind both them and Ohio State. So it's a risk. So you just sort of have to weigh everything. You have to weigh pipelines. You have to weigh your competition. What kind of competition? Is it a user? Is it a computer? But, by and large, that's what it is. All right, let's see who else we got here. If I really want this guy, looks like I do. I have the points available to me. I can bump this up to 50. I'm okay with that. Looks like I'm staying level with Maryland. We'll get there. I'm not worried about putting more points in. But here you go. Surprise, surprise, against Clemson. Well, I have the points available to me, 45. There we go, down to 20, but that's okay. I had them available. Then it looks like I just need to probably put more points in here towards Rashad Gay, which, looking at that, I actually have the higher pipeline, so that tells me Wisconsin's going all in on this guy. So obviously I'm at 45, so I can't quite. So maybe this is where I originally put 10 in. I'm going to make that a 5. So I went literally from 25 points to 5, which is a huge risk. But for the player here that I want to basically get instead, that's fine. I'm going to just live with the consequences of that. So as you see, like week 10, like week 0, I only had like 50 points in on, I don't know, like 10, 11 guys. And after the assessment period, I changed that to now basically more than half my board I'm putting points on. 16 of the 20. Now again, right here, this is where you sort of assess what's going on. I didn't put points in him. I'm gonna be way back. He's just getting removed from my board. It is what it is. I already made that assessment that I didn't need him. And when you don't put points on in week 0, you should, if you just sort of live with the consequences and just cut bait. I'm not gonna suddenly put 50 points in on these guys after I made the decision in week 0 to essentially ignore them. It's a matter I keep them on my board just in case no one else put points on them, isn't getting a lead. But once I've essentially figured out that, yeah, they are, well, then whatever. It's time to turn my attention elsewhere. Now I have 0 points now, but I do have 3 spots open available again. I can continue that same process I used before. Let me sort by 4 stars. All right, here we go. There's still quite a few players, a lot of players that just absolutely has no interest on. This is where I'm going to see if I can just look into my pipeline players first and also just positions of need. So, if I need another receiver, all that good stuff. Now this is where, again, you would assess like how much, so send at least 15 points. You want a scholarship offer them all. But you do that, you're not going to be on their top 8 anyway. So you have to put some kind of points in them, at least 25. That's where you assess again. But for this argument, for the video, I'm just not going to do that. It doesn't matter as much to me. But I put them on my board, and maybe I have points after week 2. Then yeah, I will go down that route. But I'm keeping my recruiting board slim going into week 2. And week 2 and week 3 again. That's where we're going to start sort of the pitching and our visits. But I'm satisfied with that. I think it's a solid plan. I'm gonna be competitive in all of these. Just a matter of what happens in the games themselves. But just so this happens quick. Look at that. Penn State's gonna win. Calling it. Got. All right. Here's what I thought would happen. Now we're getting in. This is now what will separate a good recruiter from a great recruiter, and this is just roll 1. Once you get to the top 5 stage for players, this guy right here, send the house, should no longer be a part of your strategy for these players. You will get more points for them if you hard sell them. But as you see, like on the right-hand side of the screen here, I only have 1 available to me. So this is where you're going to have to determine if you need a soft sell, a hard sell. But like as soon as you get to the top 5 stage of a prospect, you should 100% be trying to hard sell them at the very least. But you see, I already know that he wants proximity to home. But there is a little trick to see if you can maybe get a second one. So I'm gonna go to his overview tab and I'm gonna look at his deal breaker. Now the deal breaker matches up with what I got already. So I mean, I'm still gonna be sort of going in blind, but this is sort of where you can be like, all right, so team player's an option. Student the game is an option. Coach's favorite's an option. It's aspirational is an option. Yeah, it's conference spotlight. So there you go. There's 4 or 5 options here. I can't make an actual judgment that I'm going to be sending a good hard sell here. So this might be one where I actually am soft selling. Um, or this is where I might actually reconsider my role and just put back into send the house because I just don't know enough about this prospect. So I might just do that again. Is what it is. But here we go. His proximity to home is his deal breaker. Let's hope I don't know that. All right, perfect. Again, it doesn't actually help me because there's absolutely nothing else to go off of. But in that scenario where you do have something else unlocked, it's a neat little trick to be able to determine what kind of pitch to make. All right, so I'm just going to assume I don't have enough information here. I do grassroots. But just the fact that I know what his deal breaker is, I can actually, I know what one of the check marks are at least. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so there's 5 options. Again, that's just way too much. Part of like proximity to home is unfortunately the deal breaker. So I can't give you an example here. But like, let's say his top 5. Like if you were trying to figure out one easy one to basically cross off the list is proximity to home. So like let's say this is one I was choosing between grassroots and another one that had pro potential and program tradition as a factor. If I go to the overview tab and I see that this guy's prospects he's from Virginia and he has Clemson, Oregon, Texas, I actually probably got to make a hard sell there that he does not give one shit about proximity to home. Really, that third one's going to be championship contender. So that's where I'd actually probably make that pitch. But unfortunately, can't use that as an example here. So like the prospect will tell you a little bit with that point. But yeah, probably just gonna do that unfortunately, and again, you have to reassess. All right, so I'm getting dog walked here still, but I'm still competitive. And I feel like I can make a difference in the pitching stage, the top 5 stage. So we're just gonna leave him on the board. I'm actually pulling away here. So guess what? 50 points is no longer needed. 50 there, I'm fine with that. Again, they have higher pipelines. That's the difference here. Um, Alabama, everyone else has higher pipelines, but I just have a bigger advantage. I'm going to have to stay at 50 to stay competitive. 50, I mean, that difference isn't that big. If you go to 25, Kentucky will jump. Probably keep that there, but I'm gaining on Alabama here. So maybe I will just keep that there. Um, I have a higher pipeline, and I'm basically setting the house on them already, but Notre Dame is still outgaining me, so that's where I have to max what I have available to me. 50 points here. Now, if this was an offline, I probably actually would turn that down to 25. I would eventually jump them. Again, the computer's awful at recruiting, but if it's a user matchup, like all three are users that you're battling about, and you're competing, you know, Notre Dame's gonna essentially see what I'm seeing and say, hey, I need to put more points on this, or else Penn State's gonna jump me. So, you sort of have to guess what your opponent's doing, or the other users are gonna do. So I'm actually probably gonna keep that at 50, um, and wouldn't be surprised if they end up putting the same amount of points in. Yeah, keep that as is, just because of Michigan's pipeline advantages from a 5 to a 3 tier. I'm gaining on Wisconsin now, so another week of that if it stays stagnant on their side. Advantage Penn State. Again, if this is same five tier pipeline facing 5 tier pipeline. Whatever. Just that's the I should jump them because it seems like they're not putting as many points in. But this is unfortunately one of those players that's in the top 5, and I wish I could really be sending a well-informed pitch right now, but I just cannot do that. But there is something I can do instead to set myself up for success, depending on how the rest of these assessments go. So, like right here, looks like actually Syracuse is gonna jump me if I continue right there. And depending how much I really want this player, again, this is probably the third quarterback I'm sending on, so maybe not that smart. It is what it is. And look at that. UCF is basically saying they're not doing anything with this guy. So that 25 points is going down to 10. Or actually, if they gain that little, that means they only have a scholarship offer in on them. So you know what? I think I'm gonna need these points. So I'm just gonna take them back. Neck and neck there for him. That's fine. Um, here we go. Looks like they now have some offers in on this guy. So I really probably should put some points on him now. Now we only have 10 to work with. All right, so you're gone officially. So now here's where you sort of have to assess what you got going on. So if you have any points left over in week 2 and on, you have to determine if you want to spend more points in terms of sending more scholarship offers out. Again, using the same process. I mean, I should keep showing it to you because it's what sets the elite recruiters apart from the rest. Do I essentially want to use whatever points I have available to me to continue sending offers out on guys that have no competition right now? Or am I going to go into my people that I can schedule visits with and sort of just try to get a commit by week 4? And you sort of have to, like, this guy is probably 3 weeks away from committing. This guy might be 2, depending how the visits go, and depending what kind of visit it is. And we'll get into that here in a week. And hopefully I can actually wrap the video up after that. Because after that, it's pretty smooth sailing for recruiting, because all the nitty-gritty stuff is here, and this is now. So I'm okay with just going in, like, not scheduling a visit right now, but that's because I know I have week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6 available to me. But your schedule, say you're away for a lot of those games, and you only have 1 or 2 weeks to work with, and it's very easily possible that your opponent's going to schedule a visit and take one of those weeks from you to begin with. So you might just have to be like, all right, it's now or never. That's just how it goes sometimes. That's where, when I'm recruiting, I'm cognizant of what my recruiting opponents have available to them, and I'm just trying to win a game. I have to make sure I'm visiting, or the visiting week is a game that I feel confident I'm winning. So if it's me versus Oregon week 4, and as I'm Nebraska, that's a 50-50 game. Well, guess what? I probably shouldn't put all my top end recruits on that for a scheduled visit, because the influence you get from that game will actually get points taken away from you for that. So give me 1 second here. I'm gonna advance this and then take care of something. All right. So let's see what we got going on here. There should be a lot more players that are in the top 5 stage, and that's what I want. All right, because there's the nitty gritty of what's going to set you apart from getting prospects and your opponent not. Again, I'm not saying the house anymore. Ideally, I'm not saying the house anymore. So let's see, is Deal Breakers Pro potential? And unfortunately, that's all I have available to me. So I'm just going to have to keep going. Just hope that the good news, I have a lot of X's of what prospects not interested in. So I might be able to just do process of elimination here. So I had what? The clutch, football influencer, grassroots, and that's it. Now again, like I was saying from previously, I might be able to actually, he's from Indiana, I might be able to see if this one is even a factor. I'm gonna say probably not, because he has Miami in there, he had Clemson, he had Alabama. This prospect probably doesn't give one fuck about proximity to home. But again, they might. Um, so there comes a time where you're just gonna have to take a chance. And I feel like with this prospect, I'm gonna have to take a chance that he actually cares about football influencer. He cares more about program tradition. Schools that have all that: Notre Dame, Penn State, Miami, Michigan, Ohio State. I'm gonna assume that's what he cares about, and not anything to deal with proximity to home. So we're just gonna take that chance there. And obviously, it's good to do this because instead of sending 50 points out to a prospect, it's 40. But you actually get more of a benefit from it anyway. So, all right, here we go again. Cares about proximity to home. Well, again, unfortunately, that's the only point I know. So, team player, campus personality. Had some X's on those ones. Aspirational. Okay, aspiration. Championship in athletic. He might not give a fuck about championship contender. Louisville and Kentucky are in on that. So I'm going to say it's one of these guys. So, again, I'm always assessing where that player cares about stuff. Now, again, this might be just a scenario where Kentucky, Louisville are just simply throwing points at him. He has no choice but to be interested in them. But I'm just going to say I'm going to take a shot in the dark here and go with one of these two pitches if I want a hard sell. For now, I'm just going to soft sell, though, and then maybe assess that I can take a chance. Because the penalty for being wrong on a soft sell is not as harsh as one for a hard sell. All right, so deal breaker, coach prestige. Fantastic. That's what I want to see. On the right here, it says I only have one check mark, but I know he cares about coach prestige, so actually I have 2 of the 3. It's not that one. He doesn't have coach prestige. It's not that one. Well, it would have been anyway, but it's not that one. Coach prestige is not even an option. So guess what? I think I actually know this guy's um, care. Did I skip over it? Yep, there it is. I think he's doing the game. Where if I didn't use that trick, I may have pitched this, even though he does not care one hoot about um, playing time. So that doing the game. That's the only one that actually has. I'm gonna assume that's it because from Ohio has schools from Pennsylvania, Indiana, Louisville, Michigan. That's probably what it is. Proximity to home. Go. Moving on. Again, is continuously assess the situation. So coach prestige, but it looks like there's only a couple things it can be. Can't be those. It's probably to the house. Yep, to the house. So don't be discouraged if you don't know all 3. There's a process of elimination process for every single prospect. Proximity to home, which makes sense considering the teams he's interested in. It's probably going to be prestigious, but I'm just going to double check that it can't be anything else. To quickly do this, I'm just only looking for proximity to home and then just stopping for a second. But looks like it was prestigious for him. So I have the right pitch. Getting the right pitch is crucial. Championship contender. Unfortunately, can't use process elimination past that. So unfortunately, it looks like there's 2 or 3. 1, 2, 3 options. Virginia, that one might not matter because we got a lot of southern schools there. So it might be, where's that other one? There it is. It's going to come down to football influencer. It might just be football influencer. Yep, there it is. Gonna be one of these guys. Football influencer or Sunday bound. I mean, essentially, if you have one, I guarantee you have the other. So you're just making a bad guess right there. Now it's up to you if you want to make that bad guess. You know, I'm okay with it because the benefits you're gonna get from it are gonna be crucial. But this is where you might have to look into soft selling and then like putting 25 points in towards. Actually, let's just do that. Soft sell into football influencer, and then put 25 points back in for contact your friends and family, and that's that. Well, here we go. See, I did not hard sell, and now Clemson, they must have got it correct. And now I'm behind the 8 ball. Now I have to get desperate here. So send the house. As soon as you see that your opponent's gaining on you, well, guess what? You just got to take an educated guess. Proximity to home. Grassroots, I mean, that sounds fine. Now here, I am 100% doing a visit. And the thing with visits is, unless you are, capped, I only have for the next 3 weeks, week 4 available to me. I try to only schedule a visit 1 week, maybe 2 weeks in advance. Otherwise, again, you're wasting points that are so crucial at the beginning of the season that should be putting towards prospects and making sure they're interested in you. So I know his thing's proximity to home. So again, all because I know I actually have 0 confirmed, but his deal breaker is proximity to home. So guess what? That's where we're gonna go with, and I'll get a pretty good grade from that. Proximity to home again. You know, this is I think on my board the 3rd quarterback I have. So honestly, if I'm wrong about this, oh well. Sort of the way I see it. Not worth spending points on for a schedule. I think that's just where I'm gonna end with him. I think there was one other guy. Ooh. Honestly, at this point, I'm gonna be like, I'm behind. I'm not gonna pick up ahead. I'd probably keep him on my board, so if it's another user, they still feel like I'm in contention. I can steal this player from them, and a lot of times when you're in battle with a school for one player, you're probably in on 5, 6 different ones with them, and I'm trying to get them to spend points on the players that I have no chance on, rather than the points that can make them more competitive. So again, we're here. We're gonna do the normal assessment. See where we stand. 25 points and I'm still gaining. That's fine. 50, I'm gaining. By next week he'll be in top 5. All that good stuff. So I still have 105 points to work with. This is where I have to assess essentially. We'll see, like right there, they put points in on this guy that they didn't before. And, I actually like that because I have 80 hours to work with. So now when I do the rest of my assessment here, yep, see, I forgot to look into all my non-competitive offers, and they came out of nowhere for him. So that's what happened there. All these other guys, oh, here we go. Looks like I'm going to start putting points into him. That's fine. I still only have offers out on 22 players. Now here's where I'm going to see if I can actually make some points up for schedules or for visits. I feel like any points you have extra at this point of recruiting, week 3, week 4, and on, you should be trying to schedule visits if it doesn't naturally feel like a need right away. So I'm going to see who I have extra points on. I probably need 60 there. 50, 50, 50. I think I just now made him 25, so I want to go from 50 to 10. If I can at least make 10 points available to me here so I can schedule one visit, I'm going to be good with that. Well, here we go. Looks like I gained on Wisconsin here. So I got 55. That means I can just now put 15 points on some other random players. Maybe I'll do it for this guy since I wasn't comfortable with the hard sell. I can at least put points back into him otherwise. And then ready for a visit. I think I scheduled a visit with a defensive player, so I think that's where I'm going to probably try to prioritize for a visit for next week. I'm also going to look at where they are in terms of their, on their bar from top 5 to the commit level. And I'm going to see who's closer to it and try to prioritize that too if I can. So, but he doesn't have any complimentary visits. That's probably going to be more of a defensive player that does. Yep. And I'm trying to get compliments, when you have, defensive tackle and a linebacker or, quarterback, wide receiver, complimentary visits definitely make a difference. They give you more boost in the influence. So, if I had points available to me, maybe I should have scheduled visits with the center and the right tackle for week 4, but, maybe I just make that week 5 instead now. So, looks like this is the only guy I really have available to me to schedule a visit and get a compliment for it. So, we're just going to go with that, and we're going to go into next week. I'm just going to do one more week of this, guys, and then probably going to wrap it up because that's generally, what I'm doing because now it's all about what you do preseason, week 0. Now everything else sort of just falling into place and assessing. That's all it is. All right, so week 0. So looks like I was probably wrong on this one. Yep, but it's okay. I was okay with taking that chance. And generally, if you do that against a computer, they're gonna get you. It might actually be not as bad against a user. So, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna have to just put everything in towards this guy. Yep, I was wrong here as well, but that's okay. I got the same kind of interests as you see here. That's why I say soft sell. If you think there's a good chance you're going to be wrong, because instead of setting 40 points to be wrong and only getting that little bit of a bump, I spent 20, half that essentially, and still getting that same bump. So it's there's a good chance you're going to be wrong, and it is what it is. So that's why a lot of people will just simply keep up the contact friends and family or send the house rather than something they're not right on. I believe with those prospects, I had 4 or 5 options. Chances weren't great. So again, we got into these top fives. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yep. Championship contender. I'll be looking good on that guy. Let's look here. I think this is the guy I maybe had to make a guess on, but it looks like I was right. And now I'm in pole position for this guy. Now it's easy. Now I can determine when's the best time to schedule a visit. But I'll do that after going through every single prospect. But I'm feeling pretty good about that one there. Again, I think this is another guy I took a chance on in terms of guessing. But it looks like I was right. And again, I maintain my position with the computer. But again, if you're going against a user, maybe they guessed wrong. But made a very, very educated guess on the pitch that I needed to put. And I'm still in the pole position, and he's halfway basically to his top 3. So this is probably one of the top guys I want to schedule a visit for as soon as possible. Right here, looks like nope, I was right. It's just Oregon's probably putting more into them. Well, actually, it's because of the pipeline. I mean, that's where it is. That's why I continue putting 50 in on them, even though I was rolling ahead. And this guy's basically already top 3 commit level. Um, I like what I have here. I am not scheduling a visit for this guy whatsoever. I'm keeping the 40 on him, maybe upping it to 50s to see if he can commit with it by the end of this week. But honestly, that's just a luxury. But I'm good with that. I'm good with that result. Syracuse obviously got their pitch wrong. I'm just leaving that as is because this guy is almost a gimme at this point. All right, so this guy, again, this is one I put a soft sell in, and it was wrong, so that's good. I wasn't putting 40 in and then not being able to put in friends and family and some of these other ones, so that's fine. Penn State has pretty good grades, so I'm really not going over swaying. I honestly don't feel like there's enough time to be swaying anyway. A lot of these guys are going to be making a decision by week 4, week 5, week 6, and you can do it for the guys that are late on getting interest, maybe being able to sway. But honestly, I feel like swaying at this point is a lost cause. So championship contender. Oh, now we have another one unlocked, so that's good. We should be able to make a good pitch here. And there it is. Sunday bound. Brand exposure. Okay, it's already there. Looks like he wants to be a starter. Got him. Keep 50 on him. That's fine. He's not in the top 5 stage yet. Here we go. Oh, perfect. Love to see that. 3 green bars. No guesswork involved. Just keep scrolling until you come across it. Good with 25 staying there. All right, so he has a visit scheduled. As long as I win that game, we're in the territory where if I win my game and I keep putting these 40 points in on them, I might get a commit here at the end of the week. It's up to you. If we have points available to us, we can up that to 50 and really like our chances. But I'm good with just the 40 points for now. So it looks like I was wrong on this pitch, but again, I think I said I have three. I had one quarterback commit, so I was okay if all things went wrong there. But it looks like it's probably gonna be prestigious. And there we go. We're gonna keep on strolling along. All right, so it looks like Maryland went from 25 points down to 10. They said, all right, we're not in that battle anymore. So I'm going to keep that there. He's not in the top 5 stage yet. Makes it sense. All right, here we go. Proximity to home is indeed one of his, so can't do process elimination with that, but it's probably hometown hero. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm just assessing where I match up in these non-top 5 stage people. So I'm good there, good there. Look at that, top of your screen, I have 115 points available. So honestly, if I can find somewhere to take, maybe instead of 10 points here, we'll make that 5. And guess what? I have 120. 40 times 3 means I can schedule 3 visits. And like I said, I'm going to actually look at first. I'm going to sort by ready by visit. I'm going to see who's further along. I'm not going to do him, as mentioned before, but anyone that's sort of half, they'd be good ones to do, like halfway to the top 3. Because honestly, he might commit after week 5. Then here, looks like, see that Utah was smart. They essentially took that opportunity away from me. Schedule him week 5. So now I just have to go to a different prospect. Looks like if I even want an opportunity at this guy, I actually will have to schedule him. Pro potential, what was the one we came up with? Clutch. Proximity home is my best option. Oops. So we're just going to go with that. Maybe it was a player I should have cut bait on, but I'm okay. I like where I stand on my prospects overall, so I'm okay with taking chances, wasting points. It is what it is. So he's a defensive tackle. All right, here we go. This will give him a good complimentary. There we go. There's my 0 points. So I'd be surprised if I actually don't get a commit or 2 here. Week 5. Oh, shit, what am I saving for? I think I was trying to, yeah, go here. I'm not. Going to be losing that game. If I was actually interested in this offline dynasty. But I want to make sure I win it, so you can see this. Look at there. I got that guy over Clemson like I thought I would, and now you're going to get to the point here where essentially it's commit time for a lot of these guys. So where was he? I'll just throw him down here so I don't confuse my board. Oh yeah, these were the guys I had no offers. So I'm still assessing if I want to offer them. All these guys are still at 0. Again, I kept that guy on my board just so this would happen. He had to probably put another 40, 50 points in on him, and even though he didn't have to, now I feel confident just removing him from my board. And, still don't have to spend any points on those guys if I don't want to. So I'm not going to get commit here, but maybe with that, I'm going to be able to make myself more competitive. Now again, this is where the computers suck, because if this was a user, Notre Dame would been visiting this guy, would been scheduling this visit week 6, week 4, week 5. They're not waiting until week 12. You're just putting yourself at a disadvantage. Oh, I don't think I ever changed that, did I? Oh well. I'm out on them then. All right. So, sorry, I had a phone call there. Had to take it. So you remember how I said if I put 50 points on this guy, I would have probably actually got to commit? Well, guess what? Now, since I didn't do that, these are 40 points I would have had available to me. Actually 50, but now I have to spend more. But I'm pretty confident in the lead I have. I don't have to put 20 in there. Just doing this should get me across the finish line. But I could have actually had 40 points instead of 20 to work with if I just followed my gut. So well, again, all these guys, they should like all the pitches should have been good. Setting the house, we're going. So if you can master pitching and when to do it, and sort of how to give yourself an advantage. So pro potential, unfortunately, is already won. Didn't seem like there was much opportunity. Might just be one. Yep, go. Well, we know that, guys. Football influencer. Yep, got him right there. So obviously, as you're seeing, it doesn't matter if I actually had 25 points on the week before or 50. As soon as I get to this stage, I absolutely am trying to um, get him going here. So I know it's pro potential, so that's the only one it is. So there's an opportunity where if you cross-reference the deal breaker, you already know what the pitch is. Now there's one where I'm like, okay, maybe I do need to sway that because I have some terrible grades. So maybe this actually is where I make soft sell clutch. Now obviously you have 70 points available, so you can do a hard sell and a sway, but this is what it is. So I have 2 of the 3 there. Playing style's trash, but it is what it is. That might actually make me better. Prestigious was wrong. And again, I don't think I actually changed it. That was from 2 weeks ago. So there we go. That's what it actually is. Yep. Maryland still doesn't care about this guy, basically. But I think I'm still going to put 40 in on him. And I'm okay taking the risk because, again, Maryland does not care up to this point. Now, say they get it right, I get it wrong. They're going to be dead even, if not at a disadvantage. But I'm okay with that. So 130, again, this is where I'm going to assess if I want to somehow take 30 points off people or, essentially just put 10 on and work with that. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to just add 10 points here. This guy's visiting me this week. So if I have a good visit, and with 50 points to go, he might actually be committing. So again, let's just go sort by ready for visit. Who's farther ahead than anyone else? You know what? I feel like this guy can commit by week 6. So we got Randy Bober, and then just see if we can have. I think he's the same position. Yep. I don't want to schedule that one because he's got to lose influence points if you do. But I don't think I've touched on this yet. But obviously, if it was a user game, if I was online dynasty, I was playing UCLA. It's not a user game. Have him at home. I only get one advantage for one bonus point towards influencer winning it, but that's okay. I still am confident in winning that game. I'm going to schedule that if I can. Now, if it was again Oregon, Iowa, I'm avoiding that like the plague. No. Like, I'm pretty confident me being honestly just being able to win this by just putting points in with no schedule and visits. But again, if this was users, they might have that Michigan State may have actually scheduled week 5 instead. And that makes me like, all right, he might not get it on week 5, but he might be head and head with me. If it's a good visit, week 6. Boom. But for this purposes, for this video purpose, I'm just gonna try to get as many compliments as possible. And you know, I'm not gonna commit from gay here, but you know, as you can see with my, I don't love the pitches I'm sending him. You know, I'm at C minus or something for at worst, or at least with 2 of them. So maybe if I schedule a visit with him, God, I keep doing this. I will actually be in good shape. But yeah, I should get like 4 or 5 commits here. All right, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. All right, 3, but still, that now means I have 120 points or whatever available to me to, and it just sort of stacks, you know. Now in week 5, I'm continuing to put myself, or week 6, I'm putting myself in a really good position here. I have 230 points to work with before I even assess everything. And, you know, that'll basically be all she wrote for this video. You see the process. Putting myself in position here. I'm going to guess. I'm probably going to lose out on this guy. So this might be where I'm like, all right. Notre Dame's going to think I'm going to, so I'm not going to just take him off my board. I'm going to make sure Notre Dame continues putting points into this guy. Maybe they, you know, put in all 60 or all 75, whatever they have available to them. And that means that's 75 points they can't put in any of these other prospects that we might be battling over. So, you know, this is where I'm actually probably going to do this because I've already given him a visit, everything, and given my best shot. I'm just not going to win it. I'm going to keep him on my board. That way Notre Dame continues putting as many points into it as possible. Same thing here. I actually got that pitch wrong. But I think that was because I said I'm already a do or die situation with him. It is what it is. I'm probably gonna lose out on him. So again, actually instead of doing that, is what it is. But you know, looking pretty good there. Ooh, pipeline's definitely working for them here. This is where I'm gonna have to go all in. Probably schedule a visit. I have all these points available. I'm just gonna use it as soon as it's not gonna get to week 8, but for some reason I feel like that makes a difference. Just having that schedule in there, you get like a hidden bonus for scheduling it. So it's just gonna become a matter of can I cross that finish line before Ohio State gobbles me up? Probably not because I can only put 50 max. If I was 65, I'd feel pretty good about the chances actually. Um, you know, here if I just put 10 in there, max them out, I might be okay. I'd be very surprised if I don't get this commit because I actually have him visiting this week. But I'm going to put all those points available there. Again, it's just a matter of them being able to put more points in on them. We had the same, I hit my pitch. We have the same pipeline. So this is actually where if you have something you have 2 out of 3 on, you could actually soft pitch this for something that's, you know, he likes. So there you go. That's actually a good soft pitch there. It's not going to be what he wants, but we already have the one he wants. That's going to be a good soft pitch. This guy actually might commit this week. This guy might commit this week. Well, there, you got it right in that little chance I took. This is where I actually love having 65 available to me because I can do the hard sell and contact. I mean, when it's like at that stage right there, right out the outside the edge of top 3, you put 65 points in. A lot of these players, you can actually get them to commit once the week ends. So Brand exposure. Hey, okay, so I know brand exposure and playing time. That's it. I think that'll be everything, guys.